Poetic Justice, and I'm going to do a tutorial um, on farming. And I've been doing videos on me just messing around on a server, and I haven't actually been doing a tutorial. And the reason why is because I didn't really have much to show beyond the just the backbone of things. And I figure if people are going to see those videos, they're going to see this video. Also, I've been having a lot of trouble on farming. Not me, other people. Or should I say they've been greedy. Not necessarily trouble. So I'm going to go over a bit of math, and I'm going to go over farming. So first off, we're going to enter the house. I just wanted to show you all the outside. And here's the farming table. So the farming table is made at the very first crafting station you start with in the game. Just the basic table that you start with can make this table right here. But you need farming. And right here you see production. That's what's important. So the thing about this is that it creates a lot of good stuff that you don't normally have, obviously. Not just seeds, because you might think this only creates seeds, but it does more. It creates fertilizer. It creates salt baskets, and it creates this sampler here, which is pretty important. So the sampler checks all the details about plants and what they need. And you pretty much don't need to go into too much detail about it. It's not. Farming becomes very, very simple with the soil sampler. It also becomes very simple if you just replant the plant where you got it instead, because that's still easy instead of abundantly making plants everywhere and all over the place, messing everything up. And so these fillers here, they're basically like fertilizers. But unlike fertilizers, they're actually kind of cheap, I guess. That's a good way to put it. And let's get started. So there's a few different plants I really want to get into. We're going to come back here. And you're going to see this tomato right here. Now let's go ahead and sample the tomato. So here's a problem. Moisture. It says there's not enough moisture in the area, and that it's overcrowded. This tomato is overcrowded. It's gonna die, whatever. And then I'm gonna harvest the tomato. I got 7 tomatoes from that one harvest instead of 2, and I got 6 seeds. So what happened there? Well, the game lied. So this is a big problem because a lot of people new to farming are stupid at farming, and they're stupid at other things. So they figure farming is going to be simple. They don't have to dig rocks and move dirt too much, and it's just a freaking game. Let's go ahead and plow some land. Alright, we'll plow this one too because that's a dead grass. And we're gonna replant a tomato. Now let's check it. Alright. So the temperature is crappy. 13.5 degrees Celsius. Let's go look at our claim flags. Alright. Now and this one's 13.2. Alright, so the reason I did that with the claim flags is every little area updates its information like this. There's a 5 wide area. All these blocks share the same data of how moist they are, what temperature they are. So if you want to correct the moisture in this area here, you you would have to do it to this area in some way. So if the rainfall's good, it's going to be moist. But if it's bad, obviously it's not. Whatever. Temperature is another thing. So you can artificially modify the temperature by going higher in elevation. So we're going to look at the temperature. Is that 15.2? 13.2? That's not what I wanted. 12.6. So we're getting hotter. Oh. I mean, we're getting colder. Why did I say that? 10.9. Closer to a place with ice. As you can see. And obviously the temperature is going to be cold there. But the thing is that this is the... you'll never see a place with ice that is water level in this map, in this game, because the game doesn't have a North Pole and a South Pole, really. It just has a world to be in. And it dictates whether or not there'll be snow based on elevation. So that being said, there's another piece of feature I'd like to throw at you, and that's let's go to our tomato if we can find it. We're not gonna find it. All right, this is how easy it is to make sure a tomato is gonna grow properly. Boom! I just planted it right where it was growing before. It's gonna still grow. It's gonna become an adult plant. And there's not going to be any issues in that process. But that's only if you don't have the soil sampler. Even if you do have the soil sampler, you can already know how high up tomatoes grow. See, it says, oh, it's inhabitable, inhospitable, it's not going to survive, it's going to die, and all this other bad stuff. And that's not true. However, one thing I do want to mention here is the maturity. It takes 24 hours for this plant to mature. Just pointing that out. Maximum maturity will be reached in 24 hours for a tomato. And that means I'll be able to pick it in 24 hours. You can tell that with a soil sampler. I put some tomatoes down on another server, and it said 12 hours to max, because their rate for growing food was artificially decreased by the administrator. But it takes 24 hours. So how many tomatoes do you need in 24 hours? That's one thing I'd like to go over. And it all depends on how much good food you actually want. Good food's an interesting term a lot of people use in the game. And one of the things is that tomatoes are the one plant that tomatoes are one of the things that take the longest time to grow. Huckleberry. Huckleberries will take 6 hours to grow. They'll also take 3 hours on the server I was playing on, but 6 hours is a very short time, and they're gonna yield too, but the temperature is too low. It needs to be, let's see what temperature it actually is here. Okay, so right down there would have actually been optimal for the huckleberry tree. Whoops. What's up? All right. Now it's too high. Come on. Okay. That's your way. And now we got the right temperature. And that moisture thing apparently doesn't really too much matter because you're in the grasslands and the grass grew. So I'm gonna guess that this huckleberry tree bush thingy is gonna grow in 6 hours. It's not going to, however, yield as much, I guess, because of moisture. Alright, so just so everybody knows, there's 2 types of food in this game, and that is your standard calorie food, which is what everybody at the beginning of the game should be focusing on, and your good food. And a lot of people don't focus on the calorie food because good food gives you more skill points. And it's actually really difficult if nobody's selling furniture to maximize the amount of points your house is going to give you. Apparently, people are doing it on the server I was at by putting a lot of pots in their room and just stacking them sky high. And I'm not sure what that's about. And then there'll be like 16 pots in a room, and it'll be all on the ceiling, and it will look very ugly. And that's just not cool. It doesn't look fair. It defeats the purpose of the system. But anyhow, so basically people are turning to food to get skill points. But that means that somebody's got to do the bricks. Somebody's got to lay the bricks down so that people can build houses. Somebody's got to do stuff so that everything can keep functioning. Instead, people focus on cooking good food. They'll keep it to themselves, but they'll sell the extra because there's so much that they'll make. And they'll sell it for so much that they'll make sure that they get free stone, and that the person who made the stone gets shit on with a lot of extra work they have to do just to hit the calories that they need. If somebody ends up becoming a miner and actually maxing this mining efficiency just to be a miner, you've overcharged the price on your food. I'm just putting that out there. And so these tomatoes that I have that take 24 hours turn into charred tomatoes. I have 49, but I'm at maximum level efficiency. So what that means is I can actually make more than 29 or 49. And there you go. I can make 81 charred tomatoes. A regular tomato gives 240 calories and very poor nutrition. A charred tomato gives more nutrition and is double the calories. And it'll take nearly an hour to do this much, so I'm gonna give myself more tomatoes. Hey, why not? Alright, so 100 tomatoes that are charred takes an hour at a campfire. But here's this cool little trick I want to show you. You can have 2 campfires, and guess what? They can both char tomatoes. So if you want to get 100 tomatoes charred in less than an hour or half an hour, you would put half of them in here and half of them here. If you have a whole bunch of tomatoes, you would separate them evenly throughout. That way you can get them cooked as fast as possible. But what about growing them? Because it takes 24 hours to grow. So if you wanted to char tomatoes around the clock, let me see how much that costs. I forgot. Okay, it costs 60 tomatoes at maximum efficiency to char 100 tomatoes per hour at a single campfire. So that's 60 times 24. Let's see, 60 times 24. I mean, 1,440. 1,440, all right. Let's see if I could do something here for that. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I need to get 1,440 square root, which I think I already know. I think it's like a let's see, I know 12 times 12 is 144, and then we're adding a 0 at the end. I'll just square root it manually. For using more time. Alright, so about 38. Alright, 38, 39. No, 38. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. Chat commands, admin commands. Alright, see, I hope I'm doing this right. Okay. Here we go. So this is a 38 by 38 area. If you wanted to, you can make it a 40 by 40 area. It's quite hefty of a space. But one thing about that is that now I don't know if you want to actually manually make it level, because that will take a while, and you might have to remove stone and replace it with dirt. But this area right here is enough to char 100 tomatoes an hour if fully worked. But it would have to be in the perfect environment where it was raining and stuff like that. So of course this area is actually going to be bigger. Twice as big as at most. Twice as big. That much I'll give the farmers. It has to be a large area. We'll do 80 by 80. And of course there'll be trees floating out. So 80 by 80 is quite a huge space. Quite a huge space. But this is enough farmland to have enough tomatoes in 24 hours This is what it takes right here. It takes half of that. It takes the 38 that you saw a second ago that I made in order to make them on my server I was playing on recently. So that means that this is actually pretty vast. But what this will do right here, and it's a hefty project if you actually take it up, it would allow for about 2,400 charred tomatoes in a day. So people who play this game don't play the game for 24 hours a day normally, but it would allow them to if they wanted to, if you actually did it that way. So that being said, also I'm overestimating, to be honest. The reason I'm overestimating is because this is the calculations for farming tomatoes, probably for a whole server's worth of people. If you had no efficiency at all, zero efficiency would farm this much. It would take this much to make sure that your tomatoes grew all the way without any problems. Alright, that's quite a bit of space. But if you had no efficiency at all, zero efficiency, we have high efficiency. Let's see, tomatoes. Scaled by 5, meaning that we have 6 tomatoes, meaning we can actually decrease this space by 6. 6 times. So I'm going to represent this twice. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Seven by 7. Whoops. Alright, so 7 by 7. Or at most, 14 by 14. This is what a 14 by 14 area looks like at max efficiency for gathering tomatoes. Alright, this is a very small area. I just want y'all to know, I actually, on the actual server that I'm not an admin on, that I was playing, I made an area 14 by 14 pretty fast, and actually 10 by 10, and then like if I wanted to I could have expanded it 4 times, but I've made quite a big area whenever I was making my house. This is a very small project, right? This is all it takes to make 2,400 tomatoes at max efficiency, guaranteed basically, a day. And half that time on the server I came from. So that means in total, if you're a farmer, and that's your specialty, you only need 9 claim flags. You only, and let's see, wait. Because I said 14 by 14, didn't I? Oh yeah, that would be 14 by 14 area. This is it right here. And this would just, you know, do this little trick here where you checkerboard pattern and start planting some seeds. Maybe put a fertilizer or 2 in it, depending on what the composition is. I've never used fertilizer. And of course, the temperature is a little bit below optimum, so it's not gonna be very good for it in this elevation. But it would in this would be a very easy area to find in the correct elevation, and to artificially make that elevation if it's not in the farming. So essentially, right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 times 6, so that's 30. We have 30 tomatoes that are growing right here. You see, that's a small area, and then you do the same thing, the checkerboard, all the way across, and you grow as many tomatoes as you need, 1,440, and within a day, half a day on my server, you have enough tomatoes to feed everybody on the server. That's enough calories, because people, whenever they're working, they only use so many calories an hour. Alright, so this is all it takes. This, literally, I just can't stress how much these people on that server are ripping everybody off. And whenever I put prices up that were fair, they complained because they weren't making a profit anymore. But their profit was so huge that they would end up just having all the food or all the bricks at the end of the day if everybody used their store. So anyway, I think I've covered a bit about farming and gives you a bit of a sense of a scale for efficiencies. Thank you for watching.